Hi, welcome to Triangle Spotlight. Suzanne Lynn here with very special guest. I'm so honored to be able to call Yolanda a friend.
Yes.
Yolanda Frazier is with an organization that she heads up and president, CEO of Enough International. And oh my gosh, I mean, I want to jump back and start in with your history of being in the Army and everything. Mm-hmm. And that really probably is where your story starts.
Yes,
kind of, right?
Definitely. I basically started in the Army way back in the 80s. And I served in the United States Army for 30 years. I retired as a lieutenant colonel in 2017. But to rewind a little bit further back than that, in 2005, I opened up my home for women to come in, kick off their shoes, and just talk about topics that only we as women will understand and know about, right? And in doing that, God said, hey, give them physical food. So we talked over food and we fellowshipped.
Wow.
And not only the physical food, but the spiritual food, sharing the Word of God with these beautiful women. And every time we shared information, we became closer and closer and closer.
Yeah.
And we called those opportunities Women Connect, where we were able to be transparent in a safe place and talk about issues and our concerns.
Yeah.
And from there, God said, you know what? That's not enough. I want more from you. I want you to be able to be transparent about your own personal challenge.
And you went through some tough things. That's really where I think when we're in a lot of pain and we're at the worst part, we can't see, how can this possibly ever be good?
Right.
But a lot of good came from the tough things that you went through.
Exactly, because I was able to wear several T-shirts. I had been singled, married, divorced, and now I'm blessed to be happily married again. But in that season in particular in my life, I went through physical and mental abuse.
Okay.
And believe it or not, I'm able to connect with women that have been hurt. Your situation may not be physical or mental abuse,
right,
but I have had opportunities to talk to women that have gone through life challenges and may have lost hope and don't know how to make the right decisions, right? And so through my nonprofit, Enough International, which is a 501(c), our goal is to help women and children through those processes, to be able to make those transformations in their lives.
I got to be honest with you, and I would say that my struggle in the past where I hit my knees was with our marriage 20, 25 years ago. And when you come through that, and, you know, again, God has a bigger plan for what it is that you're struggling with at the time. You're very non-judgmental when you hear other people's stories. I kind of feel like, and you probably are the same thing, like, girl, there's nothing you can't tell me that I haven't been through.
Right.
Caused the pain myself, witnessed, almost, you know, wanted to give up over. And it just brings you to a level of being able to be real and relatable. And that is so huge, because when these people are up on a pedestal and so unrelatable, you just feel so unworthy.
Right, exactly. And, you know, for me, through those times of struggle, I had women bless me and give me clothes. Give me finances.
Wow.
Take my children sometimes when I was a single parent and help me to allow me to clean my home.
Wow.
Allow me to get the sleep and rest that I needed.
It made me cry.
Hey, they were there for me.
Yeah.
And they loved me through my mess.
Yeah.
And so I could just do me, right? I could just go to the mall and shop,
right?
But God said, no, not so. So He placed this in my heart to be able to reach women right where they were.
Wow.
Right where they are, right?
No judgment.
No judgment.
Yeah.
Just love them through and say, you know what? When we finish crying, get your cry out, right?
Yeah.
You can't stay there.
Yeah.
And even though sometimes He brings us out of those situations where we're no longer a victim, we can still have the victim mentality.
Yeah.
And so God said, hey, Yolanda, I know I've brought you through your mess, so how can you help? And He said, we're going to do this through this nonprofit, where you're going to be able to be transparent, be authentic with women, tell your story, and love them through it. Now, don't get me wrong, Susan, I don't know, and I don't profess to know everything.
Yeah.
But what I do know, I'm going to share it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to love them and be there with them through the process.
And, you know, I mean, your faith element is the foundation of what everything is built on. However, you do have so many connections and resources for women who physically need help and might need some financial guidance too, right? You can connect women in all kinds of ways.
Right. And so basically, we have learned that my nonprofit cannot do it by itself.
Right.
So other women that may find themselves through certain challenges in their lives, our goal is not to just make a phone call or tell them, hey, call so-and-so at this particular nonprofit, but being able to collaborate and partnership with other nonprofits to basically make that phone call for them, let them know that this beautiful woman of God or this beautiful woman or this beautiful young girl or a child needs their help and their specific guidance. And so in doing that, we're able to partner with those other nonprofit organizations and be able to love them through that. And I think it's not by chance I keep saying love. Because the love is the foundation.
Yeah.
Because when you love someone, you're going to treat someone else the way you want to be treated.
Absolutely. So let's just say, for simplicity's sake, there's a young girl that comes to you. She's pregnant, and she's going to be a single mom, and she is just lost in so many different areas. You have people that you can pick up the phone and call and say, could you partner with this girl? Could you help us?
Right,
How
exactly.
can we come around her and help her?
Right, exactly. And so I will sit down and we'll do that consult. We'll do that assessment, right?
Okay.
And then from there, I'll reach out to that particular nonprofit organization and say, hey, look, I have a young lady, right, that is going through these particular challenges. How can you help?
Wow.
And without, like you said, no judgment, none of that involved, right? And see what particular aspects of that nonprofit organization that this young lady can actually receive some form of resources or education or knowledge, or whether it's finances or whatever they may need. And that's where these other nonprofits partner with Enough International to be able to do that.
You are connected. I mean, in Central Florida especially, you have people that you have just spent so much time in building relationships with. This is huge. These are gold.
Right. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that we know and understand that there are so many people out there hurting. We're not in competition.
Right.
Right? We should embrace each other's uniqueness from all our different types of organizations. And we talk about nonprofit a lot, but there's a lot of profit organizations out there too, where we can be able to collaborate with and partner with, right? And join arm in arm to be able to help people in our communities and love individuals through the process. And it's called international for a reason, because women in the United States are not the only women that go through challenges, whether you're in Asia or Africa, anywhere, right?
Right.
We all go through something.
And we all want to scream and say that literally, that's enough.
Yes.
Which leads me to one of my favorite topics that you talk about is it's something like scream and eat ice cream or something like that, right? Like that's universal. We can all feel that way.
Yes,
You know?
So I had times in my life where I was about to implode. I was about to just totally blow up. I had to make some choices in my life where I had to determine where was I going to continue to move forward and continue to allow the craziness to continue.
That's a pivotal point. That's huge.
It really is, because only I could determine my fate.
Right.
And when I would look at my children and I would look at myself, this was during the time, as I said before, when I was a single mom, I had to make that choice. Either I can stay in this craziness and dysfunction, or I can make a difference in my life.
Stay on the crazy train or jump off.
Jump off. And jump off in a safe place.
Right. Yes,
so it caused me to have to basically change my career, change my thought processes, how I saw myself, reinvent myself, and get back out there and fight, right? I like to often say that if I could do it, anybody can do it. And so I said, okay, God, I'm going to allow you to be my source. And in doing that, he basically told me that I can do it, because his word says, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. And so I kept letting that resonate in my mind and in my heart, and I just pressed through the mess. And God basically changed my whole entire life.
God, I'm believing your word. I'm going to hold you to it.
I'm going to hold you to it.
And you got to prove it now.
Right.
You know what I keep thinking about is the image of jumping off a crazy train and making sure it's a safe place.
Right.
It's more than just jumping off and being out of the situation.
Right.
It's being able to now adapt to your new environment, and that's where your resources come in.
Right.
I never saw it like that before.
Yes. And I learned basically some of it was through trial and error.
Yeah.
But I think what's important for us, if we don't learn from our mistakes, we're going to repeat them. And so I learned that it really does take a village. And so you know what? I had to take the mask off. I had to be transparent.
Right.
I had to be authentic. Right.
Right. There was always going to be that wall.
It's always going to be that
I can
wall.
never be as good as Yolanda.
Right.
If you didn't do that.
Right. And I stopped comparing myself to other people.
Yeah.
And you know what? I had to humble myself.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes I never thought that that would be me. I never thought that would be me. And so as soon as I took the mask off, as I mentioned before, and was transparent that this was my present state, and I had to say, how did I get here?
Wow.
How did I allow this to happen to me?
Wow.
And I assessed and said, oh, that's why. Can't blame it on anybody else.
Right.
I made those bad choices.
Right. Sure.
And so I said, you know what? I've got to learn from it.
Yeah.
And I started basically, I love journaling. I love writing it down. I love making that plan. And so that's what helps me through it all.
There's this recurring theme that journal, you've got to journal. You've been on me about that.
Yes.
How much time you're spending with God and journaling.
Right.
Man, I just love what you're doing. It's there's so many facets and so many elements. Do you have a success story? Is there someone that has come through enough that you've been blessed to be able to touch and help connect to different resources and stuff?
Yes. So I had a young lady that a friend of mine referred to me. He said, hey, Yolanda, there's this single mom. She had an incident at her home. She had a boyfriend, and the police were called out to the house. And believe it or not, when the police come, sometimes things start snowballing and kind of getting out of control.
Sure.
But long story short, as a single mom, her 3 children were taken from her at that time and put into the system. And she was just totally distraught.
Of course.
And believe it or not, when you go through the process, as it pertains to the courts and the system and things like that, they don't schedule things at the best time, right? And so being called away from her job and having to leave her job oftentimes to go to court and just go through a lot of that process and pay for a lawyer and all those things became a little overwhelming for her.
That's the word I was going to use. That would be overwhelming for anybody.
Definitely, and not to have your children as well.
Right.
And so when I called her, I talked to her and we sat down, and I said, sweetie, you have to tell me everything. And we sat down, and I said, I tell you what, and which I always tell people to do, go buy you a notebook. I don't care if you go to a particular store, any store you go, get the notebook.
Dollar store.
Yeah, go to the dollar store,
Yep.
whatever you have to do, we need to get the notebook. I need you to get a 3-book binder, right? And we're going to start writing down a plan. So she spilled her guts, told me all her story. We had to get all the facts, right, and write them all down. I told her, bring me all the paperwork from the courts, all the paperwork from the lawyer, from the judges, anything and everything. We need to sit down, read through it all, highlight it all. We need to get all the facts, right? Set some priorities, come up with a strategy or a plan, all your court dates, how much it's going to cost, how you have to get off work, and we build a plan together. Needless to say, she was so awesome.
Yeah.
She said, Miss Yolanda, if I have to call you to go to court with me, would you do it? I said, hey, girl, I'm right there for you, right?
Wow.
But long story short, we walked each aspect together. We prayed through every aspect together, and she was a success story. She was able to go to court when she needed to, get the support from the lawyers that she needed to, and she was able to get her children back. And she was so, so happy. So long story short, the plans are there, but if you follow the plan, right? If you follow the plan, and like I said, I don't profess to know everything. I do ask for guidance from God when these ladies come to me and share their heart. Lord, look, these are your daughters, right? These are your children. Tell me what to say, when to say it, how to say it, or just be there to listen.
Wow.
But I ask for him to give me the guidance to help them through the plan. We have to have a plan. If not, you're all over the place, right?
Yeah,
and so you got to have a plan. You got to have a plan.
I love it. Well, I hope that people are encouraged by this and curious to find out more about Enough International. How can people contact you?
So you can contact and check out Enough on our website, www.enough3e.org. Come check us out and see what we're all about.
Yeah.
And then also, I want to be able to say, hey, look, you can contact us on there. You can basically check us out there, provide donations, whatever you want to do, check us out on the website.
It's an organization you want to support.
Yes,
so
definitely.
Thank you, Yolanda.
You're
thank
welcome.
you so much. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching the show. We hope that you enjoyed it. Having digital marketing for your product or organization is so crucial these days. People are ditching traditional advertising like print and broadcast commercials and turning to relationship marketing platforms like YouTube and podcasts that people can consume on demand on their time. Let's talk about how we can build your digital library with segments just like this.